Hi, I'm Kenny.
Wait, I was recording, Jason. Take two.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kenny,
I'm Kaya. And I'm Haley.
and we're your class of 2023.
And we're here to make sure you get full points on that SAQ.
What is an SAQ? An SAQ stands for short answer question. You can also see the structure as claim, evidence, and analysis. One SAQ is usually around 3 to 4 sentences, and you should be spending around 13 minutes on each SAQ. Claim. Your first sentence should be your claim, which directly answers the question you are answering. Use the words from the question in your answer. Evidence. Your evidence should be specific and relevant to what the question is asking. What does it mean to be specific for evidence? Usually your evidence is a term. If you're in Miss Worley's A-Push class, each flashcard term is considered a concrete piece of evidence you can use for the SAQ, DBQ, and LAQ. Evidence comes in forms of important individuals, groups, events, laws, or trends happening in a time period. Analysis. Lastly, your analysis, usually the last sentence, should be able to connect your claim and your evidence and give reason to how your evidence supports your claim. You can also expand your analysis by answering each aspect of the question and give further explanation of your evidence in relevance to the prompt. Note that your SAQ doesn't have to include advanced wording or structure. The best scored SAQ is very clear and easy to follow and read. As long as you directly give your answer without unnecessary terminology, you will earn the point. Remember that A-Push does not care about sophisticated literature like your English class would. On the A-Push exam, the SAQ counts for 20% of the test and your score. You are given a total of 40 minutes to complete 3 fully answered SAQ, given that each SAQ consists of 3 parts. That means you should be spending at most 4 minutes on each part, A, B, and C, and around 13 minutes for each SAQ. You'll be presented with 4 SAQs, each with 3 parts. The first 2 are mandatory, and from the last 2, you will only pick one. SAQ can be based on either a stimulus, like a graph, or a cartoon, which is essentially something you must look at and interpret, or a written prompt with a given time period. Remember to be direct and straight to the point, using factual evidence that directly answers the question while writing complete and complex sentences.
Let's take a look at an SAQ prompt. In this case, you've already answered question 1 and 2. You now get the choice to answer question 3 or 4. 3, for example, covers both period 3 and period 4. In 3A, the prompt asks, briefly describe one specific historical continuity in relations between American Indians and the United States in the period from 1776 to 1815. Remember that in 1776 was when the Declaration of Independence was signed, declaring that America be independent and out of British rule. Also, remember that around 1815, new states were beginning to enter the Union, and we saw the beginning of Manifest Destiny, where Indians were still being pushed out. In your response, you can talk about the Northwest Territories, treaties being signed, and the increase in military forces against Native Americans. Let's look at one response from a student.
One historical continuity between the U.S. and Native Americans is that natives were constantly being pushed out of their land in order to fuel American expansion. After going to the Northwest Territory from Britain and the Louisiana Purchase from France, there was a long desire to push the natives out of these lands in order to allow American migrants to settle. This illustrates a continuity because even before America was an independent nation, white settlers had land disputes with the natives and forced them off their land. This is a great example of a response that will earn a point. Note how the student starts off with the topic sentence, then transitions into providing specific evidence about the Louisiana Purchase territory, and finally analyzing why the evidence answers the question.
There are numerous mistakes that are commonly made while writing an SAQ. Those can include failure to directly answer the prompt, evidence used from a different time period, misinterpretations, and simply stating the evidence but not correctly analyzing it. For example, using the same prompt, this response would not receive the point. As can be seen continuously throughout American history, Native Americans have perpetually been extracted from their lands and forced into foreign territory. Take, for example, the Dawes Act, which illuminates a vigorous cycle of natives being forced out of the land and what was rightfully theirs being sold to white men. It highlights a pattern of oppression and inferiority to the whites. one by which the military served as the driving force behind extraction of natives from American land and enabled direct expansion at the expense of Native American rights and freedoms. This SAQ is well written and sophisticated, beginning with a claim which directly responds to the question. The claim focuses more on advanced sentence structure rather than clearly answering the question. And in the event of grading, we want to make it as direct and straight to the point as possible. The evidence introduced in the second paragraph seems to fit the question, but the Dawes Act, established in 1887, is outside the given time period. When using evidence, you need to make sure it is not only relevant to the question, but is also within the time period of the question. The analysis is good, however, it distracts from the given prompt and touches on a different theme that's not included in the question. Despite the well-written response, the SAQ would not receive the point.
Remember that writing an SAQ is one of the easiest aspects on the APRISH exam.
Don't overthink it, look at the time period provided, and make sure your answers are clear,
Concise.
And direct.
Yay!
Good luck!
Good luck! Now I am.
We're not gonna have anything for our bloopers.
I am recording.
Oh.
Bro. I'm wearing no-show socks.
What's wrong with our shirt socks? I wear no shoes. Oh my goodness. Love you, Mr. Estabrook. What's that? Fountains. I want to go fountains. And Mr. Wheeler. What are they doing?
Huh? Beginning of Manifest Destiny, where Indians were still being pushed out. In your response, you can talk about the Northwest Territories, treaties being signed, and the... I said territories. Territories. Bro.